And now, you're tuned into RBLR, the home of Tampa Bay's RBLR Sports.
This is your RBLR Rays podcast. I'm your host, Zach Daub, along with my co-host, Pat Davenport. Pat, how you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm doing okay. The leaves are starting to fall off the trees outside my window. There's a kind of brisk feel in the air right now. Fall, as you people over the pond call it, or autumn, as us sophisticated Brits would call it, is here. And that means we're in the highest stakes of baseball. You can feel the chill in the air, and the stakes could not be higher unless we've already missed the bus. I think that's something we're going to talk about today.
We are going to talk about it because as much as this is the most exciting part of the year, it maybe is the most nerve-wracking part of the year as well. And I think Rays fans were really feeling that because if we are not all the way gone, we are on the brink. So it's a nerve-wracking time to be a Rays fan, but we're still going to talk about it, and we're still going to be here every week, and we're really glad that you're here. If this is your first time joining us, thank you for joining us. We appreciate you. If you do us a huge favor and give us a like on whatever platform you're watching us on, it really helps us out, lets us know you enjoy what we're doing. It's free, helps us so much with your support. If you're coming back and watching us again, really appreciate you guys coming back. We want you to know when we're going live, when we're posting, what's going on with the pod. And to do that, you got to follow us on really all of the platforms, whether it's on social media or on YouTube. That's how you know when we're doing stuff. So do us a huge favor and follow. We appreciate everybody that's come back. We're going to get right into this because this is I think we can honestly say that whatever happens in the individual series, we'll talk about it a little bit, but we're looking at big picture right now. Are we dead or not?
Okay, so technically, no. Is the we're still 6 games back? It feels like we've been stuck at the 6 games back mark for the entire season.
Yeah, it kind of feels that way, especially for the last month and a half.
Yeah, it feels like every time we get to 4, we'll then go on a skid and go back to 6. Or if we ever fall down to 7, 8, we then go on a run to get back to 6. But we always sit around the 6 games back of the Twins and Royals mark, and we've been there all year. But the problem is the lack of we're running out of games to make up that ground with every passing week. Fangraph says it's still technically possible. They say we have a 0.9% chance to make the playoffs. They say it's still technically possible. We will be playing the Red Sox a bunch, who are a team above us. But really what we got to reflect on is that Twins series, man.
Yeah.
We were 2 big hits away from sweeping that series, I would say. Because the 2 games that we lost were by 1 run. We had the opportunities to tie those games and to get in front, and that's the difference between really 4 games in the standings. If we swept that series, we would be 2 games back.
And I think that's what's been such a frustrating part of the season. I've said it kind of all year. It's been a frustrating brand of baseball to watch all year long. And I think this series really summed that up because you can see the opportunities. You can see that there are moments where they could flip the script and go on a run and get to the next level. It's not like we are just completely outclassed and we just have no chance. And it's just forget about it, man. No, we're there. The guys are on base in the pivotal moments. You've got leads in some of these games. There's moments where you think maybe we could pull this off, and then you just don't get it done. And at the end of the day, while I think for me, I would be panicking long term if we were just getting outclassed every single game. But we're not getting outclassed. We're just not getting the one big hit. So to me, as a fan and as someone who's watching this team for this year, and then we're going to be here next year too, I'm thinking we're there in every single series. We're not getting blown out. The only blowout in that Twin series was on our side when we scored 9 runs. So, and we get blown out occasionally, but in the grand scheme of things, we're not really getting our doors blown off very often. It's really funny actually to look back at this last week. The Rays pitching staff, the most runs they allowed this last week was 5. And we scored more than 5 runs twice this week, and yet still had a losing record. in the last week. And it's just because we didn't get enough big hits in the moments where we needed them the most. And, we can discuss if we want to. We can get into the way the games are being managed, the way the lineups are being put together, the amount of at-bats Taylor Walls has had in pivotal moments in these series, which I don't particularly love. But at the end of the day, they're just not getting the results that they need in the moments they need them. And this is where we are. So you're 100% right. We're not mathematically dead. The schedule that I'm looking at the most other than the Rays schedule is the Twins schedule. They still do have to play Cleveland for 4 on the road, Boston for 3 on the road. They get Baltimore at home for 3. They have one more game against the Royals today. They have Cincinnati at home. They get Miami at home, the Angels at home. So I would say for them, it's a workable schedule, but there are, some losable series in there if we're just sort of watching, but we need them to get swept. We need Cleveland to sweep them. Really. That's the only scenario. Really, like Cleveland or Boston or some combination need to really take them down a peg for us to have a legitimate chance. And then we've got our work cut out for us as we look forward. You've got finishing the Orioles series, which we've played. Honestly, we played well enough to win this series against the Orioles. And so I hope that we will, because we played well enough for it. And then you got two of the toughest road series you're ever going to see right after that.
Yeah. So mathematically, it's technically possible.
Mathematically, it's possible.
But are we actually done? Are we cooked?
I'm the kind of guy where I'm not gonna say we're done until until the buzzer sounds. Yeah. I'm gonna keep looking for the probabilities. But the thing that I'm the most concerned about, honestly, is that Phillies series. I'm a little concerned we're gonna run into a buzzsaw because that's gonna be in the middle of a stretch of games on the road. We'll have played 7, 10. We'll have played 13 games in a row without a day off. 10 games in a row without a day off. And you're going to be at Phillies, a team that is playing really, really good baseball right now. They kind of have the complete package. They're definitely a World Series contender. They're tied for the best record in baseball. That to me that could be where the season dies unless we get a good result, because that's just a brutal series to play on the road in the middle of a streak of games where you don't have an off day.
Yeah, we've got to win tonight. Then we've got to maybe this is an impossible ask, but we might have to sweep the Phillies.
You at least have to win. You have to win the series 100%. And
then you got to take at least 3 out of 4 from the Guardians.
Yeah.
You've got to sweep the Tigers. You've probably got to sweep the Red Sox.
I mean, I will say you probably don't have to sweep. You probably have to win. Of the 6 games left, you probably have to go 4-2 against the Red Sox. I think. I mean, a series sweep versus the Tigers would be really nice. I honestly think the series that I really am watching, if we can sweep, is the Blue Jays series, because that's a series at home against a team that has nothing to play for left other than just to make our lives miserable.
It might be too little too late.
Might be too little too late. It's really going to, this is kind of, honestly, I said this last week too. When we talk again next week, the series will either be over or we're going to have insane copium, because the more likely outcome is we go maybe we go a combined 3-4 or 4-3 this week, and we're probably done. We're probably out of it at that point. But if somehow we go 6-1 or 5-2, and we've got some copium, maybe the Twins lose a couple games, we can kind of keep the show rolling for at least another week. But this is maybe, if you count the 2 Orioles games and then the last game in the series and then these next 2, it might be the toughest stretch of baseball that any team will play this year.
Yeah.
Considering it's all on the road.
Yeah. And this is when you don't want to be doing those tough games when you're in the hunt. You want to be facing the White Sox, which, let's be honest, we talked about it in April. We should have. We how many wins do the White Sox have? 20, 30?
32 wins.
Yeah. Didn't the White Sox get like 4 of those against us?
We did, yeah. That and that's a really good point because good teams beat the teams they're supposed to beat. We're kind of doing the thing where we did like 3 and 4 years ago, where we played at the level of our competition. Something that we did really badly in previous years. We play really well against good teams and we play really bad against bad teams. I mean, the White Sox are quite literally historically bad. They've lost 111 games and the season is not yet over. They are it's bad scenes in Chicago.
Yeah, they might be the worst team ever.
Yeah, they're in the running for worst team to have ever played the game.
Which is like in today's era of baseball, where
with
there's
free
not
agency,
yeah. So like the Cleveland Spiders or whoever it was that were the previous worst team ever, they were like deliberately built to be like as bad as possible because they would like trade any good player they had to like the owner's other team.
right.
And like it was like loads of like insider trading and like not rigging matches, but like kind of rigging the league so like only a few teams were actually good and the rest were kind of feeder teams. This is this is unbelievably bad. Like the White Sox are not good, but they did have some players.
They had some guys on the team that you thought are MLB caliber players, and it's like it's just gotten really bad. Like I saw a stat last night that they went into a game where they had no guys on their starting lineup that had an OPS above 700. Not good. But this is not a White Sox pod, but it does give us some. It does give you a little bit of perspective. As much as it seems like the sky is falling, we're 2 games under 500. It's a down season. It is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, do you know what is interesting? I think we have kind of maintained the same pace of winning and losing without Randy, Isaac, Eflin, and Adam as we did with them, which I think is something that should be explored and we should actually talk about because we've played a month and a bit of baseball without those guys now.
Yeah.
And the pace has remained pretty much the same, kind of 500-ish. The offense might be a little worse. And the pitching has gotten like a little better. But in terms of wins and losses, it's exactly the same, really.
Yeah, and I think actually the pitching has gotten markedly better. In the first half of the year, we were averaging 4.3 runs a game allowed as a pitching staff. In the second half, we're allowing much closer to 3.3 runs a game. So I think that's a big difference because while the offense is probably scoring about the same, they're right around the like 3.5 to 3.6 runs per game scored, and that's been kind of the same in both halves. The pitching has gotten a lot better. So I think that's kind of where some of those wins have come from. We're winning a lot of close games. If we're in close games, we're winning them a lot of the time because the pitching staff is good enough. And that's really thanks to guys like Uceda, Manuel Rodriguez, Drew Rasmussen coming back. Biggie, when he's been up, he's been really, really good. Poche, when he's been healthy, he's been good. You've got a lot of really good pitching from the bullpen. And then you've gotten, as much as they've, occasionally have been, not great starts from a runs allowed perspective, a lot of the pitching staff, the starting pitching staff, is giving us innings. They're not going out there and lasting 4. Like even like Taj, who had a rough start again this week, gave up 4 runs. He went 7.
Yeah, and arguably he was one bad pitch away from like if he didn't throw that awful pitch to Walner, he would have went 7 innings, 1 earned run.
Right, and you would have won that. Yeah, so like at the end of the day, we. As frustrating as it may be to watch our starting pitching, which we normally assume to be a strength, give up some rough performances. And you do have the gems in there, like Springs had a really nice game this week. They are yesterday. They gave us innings, even if they're not giving us good results. They're giving us innings, and I think that is just as important this time of year because it allows the bullpen to stay rested and give us good results there. So I'm really not worried that much about the pitching staff this season or going forward. Pitching staff's not the problem. It's the offense. That's the problem. And that being said, you're seeing some good things. You're seeing Caminero hit to a 111 WRC plus, which is, more than I expected him to do, honestly. When he's done really well. I've been really impressed with him. His at bats look good. He's hitting the ball hard. And it's really, I'm gonna go back to my first point. Those at bats, I've been really impressed with Junior's. The quality of his at bats on a consistent basis has been really high, and that has been the most impressive thing. I mean, the power numbers are great. Seeing him hit the ball super hard is super fun, but the quality and consistency of quality of his at bats is what I'm really excited about going into next year.
Yeah, they're setting him up really well to kind of be this everyday third baseman next year, and that's nice to know that we've got that position set and sorted. I tried to do some research because I think everyone could agree that the offense has been the kind of issue, especially in the second half of this year in particular. And I was like, okay, let's compare a really good Rays offense, which was last year's, to this offense. And there was no obvious answer, which was crazy to me because there was one glaring difference to me. And it kind of brought me to a really boring conclusion. They're swinging the same amount. They're seeing more pitches than last year. They're chasing around the same amount as last year, slightly more, but not massively. Their ground ball percentages are kind of similar. The big difference is they're not hitting the ball as hard. That's a big one. Their average exit velocity and their hard hit percentage is down. Okay, which is to be expected when you lose Luke Raley, Wander Franco, and you get down performances from Randy, and Yandy gets off to a slow start as well.
You got a lot of Walls, Rortvet, those kind of Caballero who are not hitting for power. Those kind of guys are getting a lot of at bats too.
Yeah. So less power, and people like Ahmed Rosario got a lot of at bats as well. The only thing that's different, that's glaringly different, is their in-zone contact percentage has actually gone way down. And the conclusion that I'm getting from that is we just have worse players now.
I mean, objectively, it's true. And that's a great stat. And I think that goes back to, it's sometimes we look down on advanced stats. Not we, but sometimes advanced stats get looked down on because it's just a bunch of numbers. But when you say in zone swing percentage is down, what does that actually translate to?
That means that, it's in zone contact percentage.
In zone contact percentage, yeah.
So basically, when a pitch is in the zone and they're swinging at it, then swinging and missing more frequently. And
they're getting opportunities, and they're not making the most of them when pitchers are in the zone, giving them a chance to hit it.
Yeah, so the pitches in the zone are the ones that you, by the letter of the law, by the rule book, are pitches you are expected to be able to hit, and you've got a fair chance of hitting them. That is maybe one of the most important skills you can have as a baseball player, is to be able to hit balls when they are in the zone, or at least make contact with balls when they're in the zone, because they're the ones that you need to swing at. Anything out of the zone, you don't have to swing at it, and you can just go to ball first base. But now, if you are bad at hitting balls in the zone, then there's nothing to stop hitters going right at you and just throwing their best stuff straight down at you. And unfortunately, the quality of players that we currently have in the lineup is lesser than it was last year. And we also have guys that their primary skill is not contact.
Yeah.
We have some fielder first guys like Walls and Caballero and DeLuca. We have some power first guys like
Siri, Morel.
Yeah. And we have very few contact oriented players, especially now that Ahmed Rosario has left the team, or you get
Yandy's having a down year.
Yandy's having a down year. So the contact oriented approach of the team, you need to have a bit of both. You can't just rely on power, which is what they're kind of trying to do now, I feel like, with the at-bats for Morel and Caminero and all those guys. But you can't just rely on contact. Otherwise, that's pretty much the start of the year raise where it was a bunch of singles guys. And yeah, we have worse players now.
And so here's the question. Do you think I think this is really where we're going. Is this going to be repeated again next year?
I'm going to say it can't be this bad next year, but we do need some better players in order for there to be like noticeable improvement, unfortunately.
Yeah, and to be fair, some of the better players might be year 2 Caminero. Because I've honestly even when he first came up, I was like, I don't think he's going to be better enough after these couple of games going into next year to make a difference. I'm kind of changing my mind a little bit. And again, it's not just because of the power that he's showing. It's as I'm just watching his at bats, I'm like, this guy looks like a major leaguer. So that being said, maybe he's one of your better players. And I agree that, when you look across and up and down the lineup, there's got to be some improvement somewhere. I think Morel could be a little better next year too. I think a healthier version. Obviously, Bilal's been in and out of the lineup. He's out right now with a finger thing that he's been struggling with for a couple weeks. Apparently, Yandy has been hurt a little bit off and on, and he's actually having an okay year from a process perspective. If you look at his the ratios, what you talk about is his zone swing percentage, a lot of that kind of stuff. He's kind of in his normal element there. He's not getting as many results, which to be fair, there's not as many guys on base for him to drive in. So there's that. He'll be a little bit better. The question really is, can they make, I think if you make one significant improvement somewhere in the lineup, we've mentioned it a couple times, but left field seems like kind of a no-brainer to make some kind of improvement there. Because even when you look back to the 2022-2023 offseason, we were saying they needed more power in the outfield. They just happened to have it on hand in Luke Raley, and he kind of made that problem go away for a year. But now you're kind of back in the same place where you need a little bit more power from your outfield, and you're not getting it right now. And I'm willing to give Josh Lowe a mulligan on this year and say he'll be better too next year. Because when you get an oblique, I basically just throw your season out. Because if you listen to players talk about it, it's different than almost any other injury. It nags all year. You're just going to have a bad year. So I'm willing to throw this year out for him. But even still, you need some more production from your outfield. I think your infield is fine. Your infield is going to look like Junior, Bilal, Yandy, Morel, Walls. Just accept it, Rays fans. Just get ready for it already. It is what it is. He's really good at defense. He's way better at defense than most people are giving him credit for. He's very, very good. So just accept that and move on. Catcher, same thing. We do have to have a eulogy for Alex Jackson at some point in this show. We will. Just accept the catcher and shortstop is what it is. You need more power in the outfield. You need somebody out there to start making a difference from a hitting perspective. Because traditionally, when you look at a baseball team, you want to see high level production from a corner outfield spot offensively. And if you're not getting that, that's a problem.
Hunter Renfroe, is the prototypical, he's fine, fine outfielder that has a bit of pop in his bat and is gonna do a job there, right? He's if we need someone to do a job, he's got a 104 WRC plus, which is higher than any of the current Rays left fielders.
Yeah. So, and again, there's guys like that available. And then there's guys like Anthony Santander. There's guys obviously the big fish is Juan Soto. There are guys available. There's Teoscar Hernandez is available this offseason. There are guys who could come in and fill that role. They are available. The question is whether the Rays will make a move. And I actually think there is a chance they do something, because by trading Paredes, you have kind of removed your number one financial obligation going forward, because the thought, and we discussed this a lot in the offseason and even to begin this season, the thought is you've almost got some of your imaginary future money is already tied up in Paredes because you're going to have to extend him and he's going to be expensive. Well, he's gone, so you don't have to pay him anymore. And there's really nobody else, unless you want to extend Junior early, which they maybe do. There's nobody really else who's going to get a big extension anytime in the future. So I think some of that money that might have been for that could be reallocated. And then you look at who they traded as well, getting money off the books that way. To me, it would make sense for them to go do something in free agency or maybe a trade, because you've got all these prospects. If you look in the minor leagues, we have too many guys. We have like 184 guys for like when rosters expand, 175 roster spots. So you have too many guys in the minor leagues. You have a need, maybe package something in the offseason and trade for someone so you can kind of give yourself some relief in the minor leagues and get you some power. I don't know what that's going to look like, but there has to be some move made in the offseason to kind of remedy the lack of offense from the outfield.
Yeah, especially if the strategy is to continue to never be like all in on a particular year, but be good consistently.
Yes.
You've got to get a long-term solution somewhere. Someone that you can depend on for at least a couple of years. And you can't just plaster this up by signing Jock Peterson to a 1-year deal or whatever. I think, like you said, the Rays are so well equipped to make a trade for a corner outfielder. Or, hey, we got a new stadium opening. Even from a business optics perspective, who's a guy that we could put on a poster for the new here to stay Rays stadium? Who's going to be the guy that advertises Publix Park or whatever we call it, the RBLR Dome? So,
RBLR Dome. I love the RBLR Dome.
So, hey, if any Rays execs are listening, we're open for business. We're happy to put our name on the Rays new stadium, is all I'm saying. So there's a clear need. I think the Rays are smarter than us, and they know that the need is there, and they're going to try and address it. What direction they go in to do that is anybody's guess, but like the need is clear, I think. So we've kind of tiptoed around it on this podcast, but like the amount we have been screwed by Wander Franco situation happening like it did has, I would argue, set this team back like 2-3 years in terms of how good we could be.
I think if you went to almost any major organization and just said, hey, who's your guy? Let's go to the Royals. Hey, Bobby Witt, gone. Not only is he gone, but he's gone for a reason that is actively demoralizing to the fan base. How would they handle that? How would they respond? I don't know that they would be doing as well as they're doing right now. As well as the Rays are doing.
Yeah.
They would not be doing as well as the Rays are doing right now. I think the same thing if you go to New York, say Aaron Judge, gone. And again, not just injured, but gone for what, until we have any further information, appears to be a morally reprehensible reason. That is demoralizing to a fan base. I don't know what effect it has on the team. Maybe they don't care. I can't imagine it doesn't bother them a little bit. That has an effect. I don't know that any other team could withstand that. And when you look at the way the roster is constructed, there's a gaping hole of production offensively at shortstop. And there are guys coming up in the minors to kind of replace that. But it's clear when you look at last year, the end of last year, and then this year, and really next year too, there was no plan organizationally to have another shortstop ready because there was no need to, because you had your guy. There's no need for another shortstop. Now you've got Carson Williams, who's having a bit of a rough go of it in the back half of the year. So I do expect him to maybe be more of a 2026 guy than a 2025 guy. But he does exist, so you will have somebody eventually. But you have this gaping hole there, potentially for another year, because the guy who was supposed to fill that hole is gone. And it's unlike most things you see in baseball where a guy just is gone like that, of that scale. There's probably going to be documentaries written on it in the future, but for the now, it has severely handicapped this team, and this is a season where you can clearly see. Like we've kind of talked about it. We've been one guy away. The one guy was supposed to be Wander Franco, and he's just not available.
Yeah, like agree with everything you said. It is, Taylor Walls was never supposed to be a regular at-bats guy. He wasn't. He was supposed to be our utility infielder that we bring in as a defensive replacement or once every week while Wander Franco has a day off his feet or Paredes has a day off his feet. And now he's having to play the vast majority of our at-bats at shortstop. And while his fielding is good, on a full season, Wander Franco in 2023 was on track to probably get about 6 F WAR, which is a huge amount of production.
Yes.
That's top 5, at the very least top 10 in MVP voting production.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Taylor Walls currently on track for probably about -1 F4. That's the difference. That's 7 wins difference.
And what
How
do
many
you
games
know?
back are we of the playoffs?
What do you know? 6 games back. What do you know?
Like that's the difference, people. Like I don't want to put everything on Wander Franco, but like of course Randy, Yandy, Josh Lowe underperformed to begin the year. Brandon Lau was hurt. Like there were other factors at play this year that meant that we didn't succeed, particularly in the first half, which informed how the roster is constructed here in the second half. But if we had a fully functional, healthy Wander Franco from the start of this year, like I don't know, I feel like we could have at least been, let's say charitably, 2-3 games closer. Maybe we beat the White Sox in extra time in April.
Well, and you also look at not just inserting Wander Franco into this lineup from a pure production perspective. You also think about what inserting him into the lineup does to the other players in the lineup, because it's not just a take out and plug in. Him being in the lineup provides lineup protection for other guys, or maybe they're providing him lineup protection. It changes the whole idea of what the lineup is when you insert a guy like that in. So it's not just, hey, he's gone and Walls is in, it's a 6-run difference. It is that, but it's actually even worse, because when you put him in the lineup, then he affects the guys around him and makes them better, because the pitcher knows he has to face him. Supposed to having to face Taylor Walls, who up until yesterday, thank you, Zach Eflin, had not hit a home run all year long. That really is the difference.
Yeah. But I'm gonna switch it. I'm gonna switch to some positive things. I'm gonna do 2 positive things.
2 positive things.
2 positive things. Maybe even 3. Let's do 3. 3's a better
positive
number.
Things. That's good.
Reason 1 to remain positive and optimistic about this Rays team. Oh no, we lost the best prospect in baseball that was just coming through into all-star production. Oh look, we got a new number 1 prospect that's the real deal and is joining the team and looking great. And not only is he producing well, having quality at-bats, and has a really positive outlook for 2025, but can we talk about how great Caminero's been as like a clubhouse guy?
Oh yeah, phenomenal.
Yeah,
getting the fans involved, awesome.
Yeah, so he hit that 2-run single against the Twins the other day, and he was hyping everyone up. And he Morel, and Siri seem to have formed a really nice kind of trio of like electric hype guys, which is great. So how many teams can go, we've lost the generational talent? Oh, don't worry, there's another one on the conveyor belt coming. Mm-hmm. Positive number 2. I want to dispel a myth about run differential, just because I'm still seeing it on the timeline about run differential going, the Rays are lucky to even be near 500, let alone they should be the worst team in the league if we go by run differential or whatever. Harsh disagree for the reasons that you just said. We're a run prevention oriented team, not a run scoring team. And when you run a run prevention team, all of your games, like when you have a bad offense but a good pitching, all of your games are going to be close. If you're winning, it's going to be close because your team's not going to score many runs. We're definitely not built to score many runs, and we're not going to give up many runs. So all of our games are going to be like 3-1, 4-2, 4-3, like that kind of range, because that's how the team is set up to win their games. We're set up to not give up many runs, but we can't score very many runs. So we can't dominate many games and blow out many teams, okay? We're not like the Yankees, where Garrett Cole can throw 7 shutout, but also Aaron Judge and Juan Soto can go crazy. That's not what we do. We have Shane Bars goes 7 innings, we scrape across 4. Like, that's how it works, okay? Mm-hmm. So if the run prevention fails, then yeah, we give up 8-9 runs, we score like 3. That's how our losses happen. Mm-hmm. So our losses are deliberately there for us to lose by quite a lot. And our wins are designed to be close. Like, that's how the team is designed to be at present. That can change with a more consistent lineup, but please do not get all wrapped up in the run differential thing. The team is designed to not have a high run differential, okay? So don't even get into X wins and losses and Pythagorean. It's made up. It doesn't exist. Okay, you either win or you lose. Like,
well said.
It's more complex than that. And 3, what was the third thing? I want to say something that may shock and surprise you. While researching the Rays offense being bad, it turns out it's because they're not clutch. It's like they are clutch. They are like, well, they're not clutch, but they're like mid. They're not like completely unclutch. They're like,
I'll take mid. Mid's okay this year.
Yeah, they're mid clutch. They've got, in high leverage plate appearances, they've got a 103 WRC plus. And funnily enough, like, weirdly, this is a weird stat. The Rays have had the averagest, like, on average, they have had the highest leverage per plate appearance in the league. And it's not even close.
Which means that we're putting guys in positions to score very frequently. We're just not capitalizing as much as we would like to capitalize.
And even then, we're slightly better than average in high leverage plate appearances. So, like, it feels like we're unclutch, but we're actually okay on aggregate this year.
It just feels bad.
It just feels bad because we're up against it and the back's against the wall. And I would argue we're actually due for a bit of positive regression at some point. It might not be until next year, but like this happened to like the Padres last year, this kind of situation where they were getting lots of guys on but not cashing in. And everyone kind of shrugged their shoulders and agreed that the Padres are a good team that kind of just had bad sequencing in terms of their plate appearance results. I think we're not to the same extreme as the Padres of last year, but we're close to that because of how well we do in high leverage plate appearances. How many high leverage plate appearances we are generating? Sure, we could do with Taylor Walls and Ben Rortvedt and Johnny DeLuca taking those high leverage plate appearances. But that's easily fixed, I think.
Yeah.
By getting Hunter Renfroe or whoever, like literally anyone who's got a league average WRC plus. So yeah, I know we're up against it for time. Is there anything else you would like to say today?
I'd like to say if you need to generate some high leverage outfits in your day-to-day wardrobe, that I have a solution for you. It's shop.rblrsports.com, where you can get the best merch inspired by your favorite Tampa Bay sports teams at shop.rblrsports.com. The Rays, the Rowdies, the Bucks, the Lightning. Merch inspired by all those awesome teams are available there. You can get 10% off with promo code FLAPPY, FLAPPY, at shop.rblrsports.com.
That's a great idea, actually. I think that's so true. And someone that I think we need to talk about for like 1 minute.
1 minute.
Alex Jackson.
Alex Jackson. Rip in peace to Alex Jackson, who was never as bad as the Twitter mob said he was.
But was a misunderstood king.
He was a misunderstood king. He served his purpose. He's probably also not actually gone. He's currently on the Durham Bulls roster. But we're gonna salute him because for a minute we thought he might be gone because we thought he might be getting claimed by another team because he's actually good.
We'll talk more about the Rays catching situation next week. You want to stay tuned for that.
We will. Really, really fast. Lightning round. Bat of the week.
Oh, yeah, we do that too. Okay, bat of the week. It's Yandy Diaz. Yandy Diaz is the best batter this week. He hit to a 212 WRC plus. He came up with some big hits, including a huge leadoff home run that set the tone on a big win against the Orioles last night. He had 2 home runs this week. In fact, he had a 444 on base percentage, which is absurd. He put up half a win, almost 0.4 F4. Good to see Yandy doing his thing. I wish he did it all year, but it's good to see you kind of coming back to business. Keep it up for the rest of the year. Otherwise, we are toast. Who is our arm of the week?
Our arm of the week, quick shout out to Johnny DeLuca, who had also a really nice week offensively. Our arm of the week is a guy that we were hoping when he came over would be a big part of this bullpen because he's got crazy stuff. It's Hunter Bigge. He had a great week this last week. Pitched for 3 1/3 innings. Did really, really well, pitched to the lowest FIP on the team this week. And he's a guy that when you look at the next year's bullpen is a guy we want to be a big part of that. He's got big stuff. He's got a big arm, and he's shown that he can show up in big moments when we've needed him. Hunter Bigge's the arm of the week. Shout out to some other really nice bullpen performances like Edwin Uceda, who continues to be excellent. But Bigge had a phenomenal week this week and deserves the arm.
Yeah, I feel like Usain is a victim of his own success because, like, we're just like, yeah, of course, Usain had a negative FIP and a negative XFIP.
Yeah.
That's just what he does. Drew Rasmussen also had a really good week as well.
He did have a good week.
A good start.
He did.
Bars had a decent start as well. So, like, we had some decent pitching performances across the board.
Springs had an okay performance as well. He's starting to get back in the right direction. We're gonna talk again next week, and when we do, the season might be over, but it might not be. And maybe is that the beauty of MLB baseball? The season might be over, might be so over, we might be so back. Who knows? But we're going to be here. Thank everyone who has come and watched with us. Do us a huge favor, like and follow and subscribe on all the platforms so you know when we're posting this stuff. We appreciate you always. And as always, raise up.
Raise up.
Thank you for tuning into this presentation by RBLR Sports. On your way out of the stadium, please remember to like and subscribe.